Welcome back to Kivumbi 2017. Thank you very much for staying with us. Now, recent calls by a section of the opposition leadership for a boycott of the products of the Nation Media Group have drawn reactions of not only the media owners, but also the government. Communications CS Joe Musheru is pledging to protect the media.
With several parts of the country still reeling from the tension emanating from the just concluded general election, for the opposition leadership led by NASA flag bearer Raila Odinga, the dust has just refused to settle.
Wananchi lazima wachukue mamlaka kikatiba.
Apart from the call for a no-show at work this Monday, this statement by the opposition has also rubbed the media the wrong way.
Tunasema gazeti ya Nation. Hakuna kununua kutoka kesho mpaka waanze.
Business and media owners under the Kenya Daima umbrella on Monday spoke out about the post-election state of affairs in Kenya.
Perhaps what is more important to get out to Kenyans is the plight of the employees. Some will lose their jobs in the bad economy. Some are already suffering when you don't turn up, especially the services sector. There are some supermarkets which have remained closed, even our stores. There are people who earn even on a daily basis. There are people in the informal sector, the Juakali, who are now losing, income that should help them even for their daily bread.
In response to media boycott calls, Communications CS Joe Musheru, in a statement to newsrooms, termed the calls an attack on media freedoms reckless and irresponsible, adding that security will be accorded media houses and staff if need be. At the same time, international media was put on the spot over the nature of its coverage of the ongoings in Kenya.
We are disappointed with the international media because of the way they portrayed Kenya. Kenya is not burning. Kenya is peaceful. Kenya has moved on after the general elections. There are pockets where there have been some protests, and that is Kibera and mainly Mathare and a few places in Kisumu.
In 2013, we were accused again of practicing peaceful journalism. So for the 2017 elections, we decided deliberately to be fair, accurate, in-depth, and responsible while moderating on the hate speech, as well as the speeches that could have inflamed passions or led to violence.
A brief outlook of the Kenyan economy in the face of political activity, at least from the private sector perspective, still paints a picture of resilience.
The little blip that we may have in GDP and in productivity will be far outweighed by the positive impact and the positive message that investors globally will receive by the fact that we've had a democratic process and we have winners and we have losers, and as a nation we move forward from here, rested in the confidence that we have institutions that could deal with any disputes that may arise thereafter.
Still, the media will be training its lenses on not only the nation's economic and governance horizon, but also its own freedoms in the 5 years ahead. Mark Namaswa, KTN News.
In the wake of the boycott calls by NASA, the Kenya business community is urging workers to focus on their livelihoods over such political calls that would jeopardize the welfare of their families.
We continue also to urge all Kenyans to resume their daily routine activities in line with what has been the case since immediately after the voting exercise took place.
We urge all who are aggrieved by the election outcomes to follow the laid-down process and procedures in seeking redress. Further, we are asking that Kenyans maintain peace and calm during this period and allow the judicial system in Kenya to exercise its functions fully.
The business community recognizes the poisonous effects that corruption has had on our economic prospect and national values for decades. And we stand ready to continue to work with government and with other stakeholders in Kenya in combating this vice.
Yet, 1.3 million jobs every year, and work with the county governments to establish at least one industry in every county. Number two, something which is very dear to all of us, irrespective of who you are, because education is key. It's a game changer, an equalizer of every citizen of every country. This government has committed itself to expand free primary school program to include free day public secondary schools in Kenya.
And indeed, we continue to ask you whether NASA should reconsider its decision against the Supreme Court option. I want to take a look at some more of your feedback tonight. Masharia Wanjoroge says the Supreme Court is the only acceptable path available to losers. Anything against that leads to destruction. Jacqueline Dirangu says, let them take their petition to court, not to the streets. Anne Key says NASA failed to effectively mobilize agents and are failing to recognize the Constitution, all with shaky, non-coherent evidence. Horace Ongili has a different view. He says, reconsideration ain't the option now. Mr. Raila can't trust any judicial system. Corruption is at its peak. And then some more interesting views. So this Twitter handle is an interesting one. At Dagwanda, you say, let's do away with presidential elections. It's stressful every 5 years for nothing. The parliamentary ones are better. Manuel Lekari says, we have seen enough from the courts. They simply don't work effectively. Finally, Charles Mombo says, no, every time NASA brings a matter to court, it's never heard. Plus, the president himself said last month that courts are not fair. Willis Ontuga, NASA should accept the will of Kenyans and work with the government-elect in building the nation. There's lots more of your feedback there, so keep it coming. Remember, you can also use our SMS line, if you please, 22155. Start with a yes or no, followed by your brief comment. Also, leave us your name and location at the end of your message. We'd love to know who we are speaking with this evening. So please stay with us. The news continues here on Kivumbi 2017. Plus, that conversation that is being led by Joe Ageo is also coming up, so you don't want to miss that. That's in under 25 minutes from now, so don't go too far.